Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Triple Double Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
And today is Tuesday, October 17th, 2017. It is opening night, boys, and we got a great show for you tonight. I'm so excited to see how this season's going to play out. We had the craziest offseason in my memory, that I've ever seen. And now it's eventually just going to be out on the floor tonight, and I just can't wait.
Who you got, Cavs or Celtics?
Cavs or Celtics tonight? We got probably Celtics.
I'm feeling Boston. No Isaiah Thomas for Cleveland, but at the same time, I could see LeBron just going off, but also I could see LeBron playing 20 minutes and just, doing a classic.
Kyrie's dropping 40
LeBron.
tonight.
Kyrie's going to drop 40 on his head.
Yeah, he's going to get booed. He's going to get booed relentlessly.
They're making a video.
I think they're still going to boo him.
Yeah,
we'll see. That's the hot take.
I don't think I'd be surprised, honestly, if he got a lot of cheers.
I think he'll get booed. I think he'll get booed.
Interesting.
But there'll be cheers, too. You'll hear some cheers.
All right.
A few.
Well, with that being said, let's get right into the news today of the NBA. Rhyming accidentally. The first thing we're going to open up with, we opened up with Embiid last time. We're going to open up with him again. Joel Embiid is on a minutes restriction to start the season. He didn't think that he had no idea until about today when Brett Brown was asked about it. And if he had to guess, Brown said, quote, I think I'd have him somewhere within the teens. So the early teens. So, he played that on I think a 22.25 minutes was his minute restriction last year. That was the longest he played. And I don't know how I feel about this. When Embiid came out and he talked about this, he said, quote, it is expletive BS. Is the best way to put it. And I guess, I don't know. It's a tough call for Joel Embiid, but I guess the Sixers, they made the move and are ready to win now, but they still feel I think that they still don't feel the pressure yet to still win now, so that they can ease their stars back into the league.
And I think it's smart for Philadelphia to do this. Embiid has not proven yet that he can play without getting injured. This is his technically, is it his third year in the league now? He's played 31 games, and he's been injured the rest of the time. So I think it's smart. I don't think he's going to get over 20 to 25 minutes this entire season, and I think he's going to be pretty upset about that. But, if I'm Philly, I'm going to be as cautious as possible because you just signed him to a huge contract, and he needs to be part of this future.
Yeah, I agree. I have no problem with them restricting his minutes. But as you just said, they did give him this big contract. So I feel like eventually they're going to be ready for him to be able to play without worrying. They should always worry about injury, but worrying that if they play him too much in one game, he's going to get hurt.
I don't think he'll ever play a full season, as a Sixer. I think that he'll get sat games. I think he'll be given a lot of resting days. I don't think he'll ever play back-to-backs. I don't think that it makes sense for them to, but at the same time, whenever you enter the playoffs, you can't sit him back-to-back games. You have to play him every single game. And I think that as Embiid becomes healthy, he thinks that he's ready. He says that he's ready to play 30 minutes a night. And
who's not going to tell you that?
Yeah.
It's true.
Embiid, I love the dude. He's great. He's got some new hair. If you haven't seen it yet, it's all in cornrows. A little tribute to Allen Iverson, the process and the answer kind of deal, which is really cool. And Markelle Fultz is also coming off the bench to start the season. The Brown said it wasn't it's because he missed a hearty chunk of the preseason with his injury in his shoulder, which makes sense to me. I don't think you want to throw him to the fire right away. So I think that they're just taking that mentality with Embiid.
Funny that you said that. I'm glad Fultz is starting on the bench because I think all rookies is starting on the bench. But sadly, my team doesn't agree with me.
And with that being said, we're going to move to our next news topic. The Boston Celtics have come out tonight saying that they will start Jason Tatum, the number 3 overall pick in the draft, starting with alongside Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, and Jaylen Brown, as well as Al Horford down low. I guess, if you want to call him a center.
That big man down
the big man down low. And I gotta say, whenever I first heard this, Cam and I were talking about it today at lunch, and we were I was taken aback. I wasn't very sure. Like, I get that Marcus Morris is injured, and they won't be able to play him, but to throw your rookie right out there at the beginning, first game of the season up against one of the heavy favorites against LeBron James. I mean, I get it that Brad Stevens is playing positionless basketball, so they can kind of rotate the guys around.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown's going to be on LeBron all night.
That probably would make sense. I like it. I think that Jason Tatum, of all the rookies, in the first, the top 5, I think Jason Tatum was the most NBA ready.
I agree.
I'm looking at the roster and the depth. I don't see anyone that really, in my eyes, can go above Tatum to start, besides Marcus Morris, who's hurt.
Right.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like it, but it's what they had to do.
They're going to be fun to watch. I think they'll be a little rusty to start, of course, because, it's almost a completely brand new team.
Yeah.
But they're going to be, offensively, I think they're just going to be ridiculous. But I worry about them defensively, especially if Morris is injured.
Really?
I mean, you have Horford's a good defender, and obviously Brown's a good defender. Jason Tatum has either looked pretty good or pretty bad on defense. Kyrie is only good on Steph Curry half the time. Gordon Hayward he's pretty average. He's
a decent defender.
Yeah,
I would
he's above average. How about that?
All non-showboaty guys are usually pretty good at defense.
But they're also going up against the smartest player of all time.
Okay, well, Hayward's going up against Wade, so.
That's true. Mm-hmm. I don't think. Wade's going to struggle defensively this year, but I worry a little bit, especially once playoff time. Teams are just going to take advantage of the Celtics' weaknesses on defense.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to stop you right there because do you remember who the coach of the Boston Celtics right now is?
Do you know
Brad Stevens?
Do you know their point guard who can't play a lick of defense?
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. Irving. Now he's on the Celtics. Okay.
The Celtics have the defensive from Isaiah Thomas.
All right, easy. He
went from F to a D- on defense at the point right now.
Listen, Brad Stevens knows how to whip a team into playing defense. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to happen today. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. You wait till playoff time. These guys will be ready to play defense.
Everybody in college basketball plays defense.
I completely disagree that you think this team's going to be outrageously bad at defense.
I didn't
in the
say
postseason.
outrageously bad, but I don't think they're going to be good defensively.
I think they'll be good because it's Brad Stevens on head coach of the Celtics.
Well, I must say, it's already getting heated.
I won't say a bad thing about Brad Stevens.
I'm not saying he's a bad coach. They're not going to be as good as you think they will defensively.
So let's see if our debate can get a little bit more heightened as we enter into our main bulk of the episode. We're going to do some NBA awards and predictions for the season. We're going to enter in, we're going to talk about MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Most Improved. We're going to give you our initial, our gut, what our gut thinks, and then we're going to tell you out of, the entire league who we think is a sleeper for this candidate, for this potential job. Somebody who might finish third or fourth in the voting, but you never really expected them to be up there in the voting anyway. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the biggest position of them all, Most Valuable Player. My instinct tells me James Harden, but that's just the way I see it. I think that Chris Paul being there is only either going to not necessarily take away from his assists or hurt his scoring in any way. I still think he's going to go out and probably produce 30 points a night. I think that they'll stagger him enough that he'll be able to lead his team and finish with probably roughly around 10 assists again. And average a double-double for the remainder of the season. I think that he's an easy slot to go up in there. He finished second in the voting last year. I think it's nice. I think it's a good fit.
For my obvious choice, I'll go with LeBron. You can never not put him in the conversation. With Kyrie gone, he's going to get some more touches. He's a very good team distributor. He always gets his assists and rebounds and points per game, and I think this year is not going to be any different. He's still going to be at the top of the league, and I think he'll be top 3, if not the winner at the end of the year.
I think LeBron definitely has. I think he maybe has the best chance. If he wants to win MVP, he's going to go win MVP.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
yeah.
no question about that. I think my front runner right now is Steph Curry. We saw it towards the end of last year once him and Durant started really, really clicking. Steph almost, at least up until the playoffs started, kind of became like their number one guy again. And I mean, you could just see everything was going really well. But my sleepers for MVP right now, my number one sleeper is Blake Griffin. Now that Chris Paul is not on that team, he is the go-to guy. And we saw it the other night preseason. I mean, he looked unstoppable. And he's just we're gonna see a whole new Blake Griffin. We're gonna see the Blake Griffin that has been just hiding behind Chris Paul's shadow for the last few years. We've never really gotten to see what he can really do. And then my next guy, who is also a sleeper, is John Wall. All right,
I completely agree with you.
He's gonna come out and play angry this year. He's not happy. I don't think he's happy he's on the Wizards to begin with, but he has to deal with it. He just signed a big contract. But he's going to come out. He's going to play angry. He's one of the most electric guys in the league, one of the most athletic guys in the league. He can dish out 10 assists a night. If he really takes control of this team, we could maybe see him pushing up towards 30 points a game almost, 26, 27, 28 points a game. And the Wizards, I think, are going to be one of the top teams in the East, so I'm excited to watch him play as well.
So my two sleepers, they're pretty ironic with each other. I'll say, first off, Kevin Durant. You said Steph Curry. I think if either one of those two could end up like just taking off of each other, and I think those guys are good together, as that if one person is like the front runner on that team, they're going to make sure he gets his touches in the game, each game. And then my second one is it's kind of a sleeper this year, Russell Westbrook. Only because they took a poll and 0% of GMs thought he was going to win it again this year. So that's where I'm coming from. People don't think because Paul George and Carmelo Anthony are on that team now that he's not going to have nearly the season, which he won't. He won't have nearly the season that he did.
Not a triple-double season, but he's still going to produce.
He's going to have insane assists. He's still going to get his points, and I think he's still going to have a great season.
That's a good opinion. My major sleeper this year, I mean, he came out of his shell last year. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that Giannis.
I didn't even know you could call him a sleeper or not.
I mean, like, nobody's mentioned him up until this point.
Yeah.
Nobody really talked about him up until the end of last season. Like, as soon as he hit his midseason stride, I think the Bucks are ready to take that next step and move towards, potential playoff spots. And I think with Giannis at the helm, I think if he can increase his shooting this year, I think you're looking at a guy who can average a triple-double for the season. I think that if Giannis is good to go and he plays all the games this year, I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be a front runner or a sleeper this year for MVP. And that's just the way that I see it. Another sleeper I have is Kyrie Irving. I think that
I thought I'd be harassed if I said that. But I was thinking that.
I was thinking, when I was looking through this season, I didn't want to repeat any of the other ones that we past mentioned. I agree with both of Hunter's. John Wall and Blake Griffin are two excellent sleeper picks this year, especially if you're playing fantasy basketball. Those two guys are going to be, kind of the second round of picks. But, this isn't fantasy basketball. This is a Triple Double podcast. But Kyrie Irving, he... I think that we haven't seen him, produce as a distributor, because LeBron is always, taking that role. But I think that Kyrie can put up the points. I think that he can get the assists. He has the talent around him to do it. He has the coach around him to do it. He can play defense when he wants to. But, I think that if he thinks that Boston isn't ready to win a championship right now, I think that he could, kick it up a notch and, play and show that he's the best and maybe try to bring in that extra last piece and be like, look at me, I'm Kyrie Irving, come join my team, to all the potential free agents. With that being said, we're going to transition over. Hunter, do you want to tell us who your picks are for the Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, for Defensive Player of the Year, it's kind of... You have to be in like a perfect situation, I believe, to really win this award. And it's kind of a stereotypical pick for Defensive Player of the Year, but I have Draymond Green. He doesn't really have any offensive load to carry on the Warriors. He's got Curry, Durant, Klay Thompson in front of him. He's just kind of out there doing his thing. He's dishing assists and he's blocking guys, playing good D. He's in the absolute perfect position to win Defensive Player of the Year. He could win it for the next 5 years. He's just in that great of a position. Next guy, who I don't believe Kawhi Leonard's going to win it, just because of the offensive load he really has to carry with the Spurs this year. I mean, he's really the only guy on that team. LaMarcus Aldridge just signed a 3-year deal, which I totally disagree with for the Spurs.
What was it, like $73 million? Sounds about right.
Awful contract for the Spurs. Not good. But next guy I have is Rudy Gobert, who I believe finished second last year in voting.
Yeah.
He's going to be same old Rudy Gobert. I think Draymond's going to get it over him just because he plays on the Warriors. They're going to win 60-plus games again this year. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have Draymond.
You know, defense wins championships, but defense doesn't win you Defensive Player of the Year whenever your team's not going to be that great. My main person is Draymond Green to win this award, but my sleeper, however, finished, I want to say, he was within like maybe the top 11, 12 guys. It's Robert Covington. He plays for the Philadelphia 76ers. An elite 3-and-D player, really fits well on that team. You put him on the best player on the court, hands down. He can guard the 1 through the 4. What he does for that team is absolutely amazing. And whenever you take a look at that, and if the Sixers, win 40-plus games this year, then you're starting to look at and ask, okay, who's the keys to victory? You're looking at Robert Covington, and a lot of the players and the GMs and the staff will look to vote for Robert Covington.
I do agree with Draymond Green. I kind of disagree on the Kawhi Leonard thing, though. So while, yes, he has a ton of offensive load, if there's anyone in this league who's just going to keep pushing through it, it's Kawhi Leonard. Sure. So I think he's still going to go all out on defense, but I could definitely see that halting his defensive stats is the offensive load he has to carry. So my sleeper pick, and they're fast asleep on this. I gotta say, this is out of right field on my part. Marcin Gortat.
Marcin Gortat.
Yes. What? Now listen.
I want to listen to this.
The Polish hammer, dude. Every time I watch this guy, nothing gets by him. And I just don't think he gets enough credit. And I think if Washington's really good this year, you never know. But it's a sleeper. That's why I don't think it's gonna happen. But
I'm excited for when these boards actually come out. And if Marcin Gortat gets a vote, I will be incredibly impressed with that.
I'll be like, Cam, you called it. We'll have.
I'm going for a vote. That's my goal. Is for Gortat to get a vote.
I will. I'll buy a Marcin Gortat jersey if he gets one vote.
I will as well.
It's not going to happen.
It's just that's the bet right now. So
I just wanted to give some respect to Marcin Gortat.
I'd say another one of my sleepers that I have coming into the season, Clint Capella. Man, I'm showing a lot of love to the Houston Rockets right now. But Clint Capella, excellent rim protector, great rebounder, really a nice high-flying dunker, can really, a positive player to put at the center position for this team that wants to, have that 7 seconds or less flashy offense kind of deal. And Clint Capella, man, I'll tell you what, I loved him last year, and I think that he's only going to get better this year. He's on a great contract. What a man, Clint Capella. Moving on, down to our Rookie of the Year selections. Oh my goodness, boys, there's so many rookies to choose from. But the first one that I want to say is my surefire pick to win, Benjamin Simmons. Benjamin Simmons. From what I've seen in preseason, Simmons has looked incredible. Flashy dunks, flashy passes. He can throw it down with the best of them. Ben Simmons is hands down one of the best talents I've ever seen coming out of the draft. He grabs boards. He runs the floor. For a 6'10", the dude is nuts. And I think that he's going to fill up the stat sheet and play really good defense and be one of the best players in the NBA this year. What are your guys' thoughts?
I can agree with that, definitely. I think he's going to be the best rookie right now just because obviously he missed a year. So he has that experience just of watching and being in that culture for a year. He has that experience under his belt now. Mm-hmm. I think it's really going to be between him and Dennis Smith Jr. I think they're in my opinion, the two favorites. Dennis Smith Jr., he's going to more than likely start for the Dallas Mavericks.
He's hurt now. He just got hurt in one of the last preseason games.
That he did.
Of course. All right, so Dennis Smith Jr. is not going to win the Rookie of the Year. But my sleeper pick for Rookie of the Year, he was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. His name is John Collins. John Collins was one of the most efficient scorers in all of college basketball last year. He rebounded the ball. He's just your typical. He's kind of your typical big guy from 10, 15 years ago. He's not much of a perimeter player. He's more, down in the paint. He's dunking on guys. He's a post hook. And his mid-range jumper is all right. But I'm telling you, the Hawks are going to be bad. He's going to play a lot. All right. He's at some point he's going to be getting 30+ minutes a game.
Wow.
This guy, John Collins, he's an all right defender. He has flashes of good defense. And he's gonna put up points. And he's gonna rebound the ball. And I mean, these other guys may be better than him, but he's gonna have the stats to prove that he may be the Rookie of the Year.
Okay, well, for my pick, I gotta go with my boy, head of the big baller brand, Lonzo Ball. I just love this guy so much. He's going to be in starting role. He's going to start probably all year unless any injury happens. I think his game is just beautiful. I think he's almost NBA ready. I love this guy so much. I think he's going to be great. I think he can definitely win Rookie of the Year. All eyes are going to be on him. So definitely when voters look, they're going to remember the season. If it was a good season, they're going to be looking at that when they vote. My sleeper pick would have to be his arch nemesis of this draft class, De'Aaron Fox. I think he's a great defender, one of the fastest guys out of this draft class. May even be one of the fastest guys in this league as of right now. Mm-hmm. He's on a bad Sacramento Kings team. He's gonna get his reps. He's gonna be playing. So I could see him having a good year as well.
One of my biggest sleepers right now, I would say Josh Jackson. I mean, he's the 4th pick overall in the draft. So it's like he doesn't necessarily seem like a sleeper, but compared to all the other talent in this draft, when everybody's talking about Dennis Smith and Jason Tatum and Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons and Josh Jackson kind of takes a back seat. He's on, like we've all said, they're on terrible teams because that's the way the NBA is. You got your bottom feeders, but Josh Jackson will take over that point forward role at some point during the season because I guarantee that Eric Bledsoe gets traded this season. If not, the Phoenix Suns will deal with that, and I think that it's just a terrible idea for him. I think that Josh Jackson will be able to assist. He'll play great defense. If he shoots the ball well enough, that's an easy pick for Rookie of the Year. Heading in to the last, or one of the last ones, we're on the back half of this. It's the 6th man of the year. Last year went to Eric Gordon, and I got to give it to him again. I mean, Eric Gordon, great leader of the second unit. He doesn't turn the ball over. He shoots efficiently. He puts up good numbers, and he's on a great Houston Rockets team. It doesn't get any better for Eric Gordon. I mean, there's no pressure for him. He's the 6th man. 6th man of the year again. He can do it again. We've seen him do it. He did it last year. Eric Gordon, 6th man of the year is my vote.
Yeah, I agree with Eric Gordon. Between 6th man of the year, defensive player of the year, I don't really have any sleepers because I don't really think any sleepers have a shot at winning this award. Mm-hmm. For 6th man of the year, I think it's going to definitely be between Eric Gordon and Lou Williams on the Clippers. And Lou Williams has won the 6th man of the year before, so no new names for this one. I think Eric Gordon has a little bit of an edge because he's on the better team, and he's going to be playing crunch time minutes for them with Chris Paul and James Harden. So I think he's going to get that, but Lou Williams is going to have a big role in the Clippers as well. He's going to be one of their top scorers.
Yeah, the only reason I picked Gortat for a sleeper is because I really couldn't think of someone that isn't talked about already for Defensive Player of the Year. But anyways, for 6th man, honestly, I agree. I got to give it to Eric Gordon again. This team is going to use him a lot. He's a starter on the bench. And for a sleeper, I mean, I guess I'll give some love to J.R. Smith. I mean,
that wouldn't be a bad pick.
Yeah, I think he's going to be.
J.R. Smith.
He's going to have some beef. Of course, he's one of those guys that won't really beef with players, but he'll bring it out onto the court.
He's angry.
He's angry. He's angry that he's sitting on the bench. So I think So what's the rule on that? How many games Do you have to be on the bench all year?
I believe you have to. You can't start more than half the season. I believe.
That sounds right to me. We can
Okay, so
you can look it up at home.
If he doesn't, if Dwayne Wade keeps starting, then I think J.R. Smith might have a chance.
One of my biggest sleepers coming into this year, Norman Powell. He's on a Toronto Raptors team. He's about 25 years old, maybe 24 at the youngest. But Norman Powell, he shoots threes. He plays good defense. He can pretty much do it all. He's a good, nice piece to have as your sixth man. There are a lot worse sixth men you could have in the league right now. But yeah, definitely Norman Powell. Ugh, man, I love the kid. He's a nice, solid backup. Comes in, he's gonna put up good numbers. I think it's gonna be Eric Gordon as your sixth man of the year. Or Lou Will, sixth man like Lou Will. Norman Powell, again, just a sleeper. Throw it out there. Again, another good fantasy basketball pickup. You never know. Going in now, we got our coaches of the year. Starting off, I think it's going to be probably Houston. Again, I'm showing so much love to the Rockets, but they have just so many potential, awards on this team. I'm predicting back-to-back for Mike D'Antoni. If he can make it work with Chris Paul and James Harden, which I think he can, especially with the way that his offense runs, I think that he can pick it up defensively, and I think that if Houston does really, 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 really well, and they finish in the 2 seed, I don't see why you don't give it to D'Antoni.
I've got to give a little hometown cook, and I can't go a whole awards without giving one to my team, so I got to go Brad Stevens. Not only because I think he'll be rewarded for they're a completely new team. Like, if you look at this roster, I've never seen most of these players play. Like, after Rozier on the depth chart, there's no-name guys on here. So I think if they do what they're expected to do this year, I think Brad Stevens is going to get some credit for pulling all these new guys together and forming a strong team.
Semi Olijé, dude. You never heard of Semi
I know who Semi Olijé is.
Oh,
okay. Boys, I got some bad news for the both of you. You're just both wrong. The Coach of the Year is going to be...
Don't say Eric Spoelstra.
No, he deserved Coach of the Year last year. Coach of the Year this year is going to be Scott Brooks of the Washington Wizards. The Wizards... I'm telling you, the Wizards are not going to get past the second round. I know. Wizards are not getting past the second round, but they're gonna be right up there win-wise with both the Cavs and with the Celtics. Mm-hmm. They're going to play really well this year. John Wall is going to have an MVP-type season. Bradley Beal's finally shown that he can be healthy for most of the season. They also have Otto Porter coming back. Like you mentioned earlier, the potential Defensive Player of the Year, Marcin Gortat.
Okay.
So it kind of makes sense for you to think Scott Brooks as well, Cam. But I think they're going to have a really good year.
Does it, though? Does it really?
Obviously, teams like Houston, Boston, Golden State, they're going to be right up there because they're going to be, the top teams in the league. But
voters really don't like to give it to the best teams, like best record-wise. Because, the last time I remember them winning is, Mike Budenholzer with the Hawks.
Coach Bud, what up?
Ooh, quick question for you guys. Who is the first coach to get fired this year?
Ooh,
oh, man.
I'm going with Frank Vogel on the Orlando Magic.
That's not a bad pick.
Because the Magic are either playing competitive games or they're scoring about 60 points and getting blown out. And I have them to be the worst team probably in the league this year.
My initial reaction is to say Greg Popovich. No, I'm just kidding. I think the Pistons and my main man,
dang it, that's
Stan
what I was
Van Gundy.
Say. Yeah.
I don't think that they're gonna. I think they're gonna realize that what they got going on in Detroit right now is not working, and everything's just gonna blow up, and they gotta blow up the entire roster, and they're gonna lose Avery Bradley next season in free agency, and they're just gonna have to restart over with their so-called superstar Andre Drummond. Yeah, that's my pick to get the first coach fired. A major sleeper. I like for coach of the year. I mean, Brad Stevens is always a good one, but he's not necessarily a sleeper. If you put together enough with the Charlotte Hornets and you get it together, I think that's Steve Clifford. He's a good pick to, especially if you're gonna put together all these names like Dwight Howard, Michael Carter Williams, Malik Monk. A nice, good young coach. Clifford's not old, but young team together in there, and I think that's something you can't really pass up on, especially as a sleeper. And our last... Oh, what's up?
I was going to say, I got to agree with Stan Van Gundy getting fired first. That was the first name that came to my head. Sleeper for coach getting fired, maybe Terry Stotts, Portland's had very high expectations for the past few years, and they've never came out and done it. So you never know. I don't think he's going to lose his job, but I wouldn't be shocked if he lost his job.
I agree. I can agree with that.
That's fair. Now, for our last topic, for our last award, then we're going to get into like championship basketball. We're going to talk about the most improved player. Hunter, do you want to start us off with our most improved player?
Most improved player this year. I have it between two guys. I've seen a lot, of like Giannis Antetokounmpo. I've even seen Kevin Durant winning most improved player, which I think is incredibly hard for that to happen. But my top pick right now is Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. Obviously, Paul George is gone. He's no longer on Indiana. This is his team now, and I think he's going to have he's been in the league now for a few years, has that experience under his belt. I think he's going to come out and play well. I could see him being around a 20 or so point scorer, finally getting up there into one of the better centers in the league. The other guy I have as well is Rodney Hood on the Utah Jazz. Obviously, Gordon Hayward's gone. You see a similar theme. Team loses a star, somebody has to step up. Rodney Hood, he was like a mid-first round draft pick of Utah a couple years ago out of Duke, and he's been a decent scorer for them. But I think he's going to step up this year. I think he's going to be their leading scorer. They don't really have an offensive identity anymore now that Gordon Hayward's gone. So I'm really looking forward to seeing both these guys play.
Who won last year?
For most improved player, wasn't it Kemba?
Oh, might have been.
That's a good question.
No, it was Giannis, wasn't it? It was Giannis. Yeah, it was Giannis.
Okay.
It was Giannis, and the year before that was C.J. McCollum, and then Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Cam,
sorry.
Please.
I was gonna go. I'm gonna go Devin Booker. He had that shining moment last year where he scored 70 points, and I think this team. I don't get this team. They're just like, I feel like they can be good.
They have the pieces.
They have the pieces.
It seems like they've just been so far away every year.
I still don't think they're going to be good this year, but I think Devin Booker is going to have a standout year. So that's who I would put for most improved.
Most improved, I agree with Devin Booker. But I'd say that my, surefire for most improved is got to be Nikola Jokic, and then most improved this year is a sleeper, his teammate Gary Harris. I think that both of those players are excellent picks. You know how much we love Gary Harris on the show. Great man, great efficiency, great contract. Overall, solid Gary Harris. Nikola Jokic, I think he's really going to come into his own this year, kind of like a Giannis, and just burst on the scene. Everybody's going to be like, whoa, have you seen this Jokic guy playing out in Denver? Especially because Paul Millsap's going to be on that team and they're going to win a few more games. I think that Jokic's ability to pass the ball is going to be, something that people need to see. It's not going to be, a flashy dunk or something like that from Jokic, but it's going to be, it's going to be good.
I have some breaking news here just coming out.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So our favorite Chicago Bulls, who are just like rapidly on the train to success this year.
Yeah.
It has just came out. Woj just tweeted about it. I just got a notification. Nikola Mirotic has been hospitalized after a fight with Bobby Portis at practice, where he took a cheap shot at his face. So it was a serious altercation that sent Mirotic to the hospital.
I think
out indefinitely.
I think every management position in Chicago, I think they should all just be fired to begin with.
That might be your first coach to get fired. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he can't control the locker room.
Fred Hoiberg.
Fred Hoiberg. I can't believe we didn't think of him. Yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the right guy for any NBA team. I think he's a good college coach, but I don't see him working in the NBA.
Well, this is another reason. I've said it before. We need, Chicago Bulls fans, you need to start protesting out in the streets to fire Garpax. Their management skills are abysmal. They have no clear path for the future. They just blown up their roster this year, and they haven't done it effectively. If you're going Oh, my gosh. If you live in the Chicago area and you're listening to the Triple Double Podcast, first of all, thank you for listening to the Triple Double Podcast. Second of all, march out in the streets. Be very angry with your management. Call for their heads on a stick. Get all medieval on them. But, it's something as simple as that. It's like, you take a look at the Seattle Seahawks this year, and, comparing apples to oranges, NFL, NBA, whatever. But this year it came out that Pete Carroll doesn't have control of the locker room. Players are starting to talk behind each other's backs. The defense was trashing on Russell Wilson. There was no real clear leadership from the coaching position, and it starts all the way up from the management.
That's a whole nother thing, because Pete Carroll was when they questioned him about it, he was like, "Yeah, whatever. These guys are adults." He didn't seem to care that there was fighting amidst the locker room.
It seemed. To me, I think in order to have a successful organization, especially one that's just blown up their roster, you need everybody committed to, quote, the process.
Yeah.
You need people to trust the process. And I think that if you don't have that, starting and you got fights going between Bobby Portis and Nikola Mirotic, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous for the Chicago Bulls to do that. With that being said, we're going to round it off here with our NBA champions. Obviously, I think we're all going to pick either the Warriors or the Cleveland Cavaliers, unless anybody else is telling me different. But so we'll go around. Cam, you want to start us off? Who you got, Cleveland or Golden State?
No, Golden State, all the way. I think this is it. After this year, the super team era is going to kind of blow up a little bit. But they're so good. They are probably the best team I've ever seen. They've only added on to that this year. So, on paper, I think they're the best team ever. And I think they don't even have to put it all out on the court to win the title. But I think they will.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have Celtics, Cavs, and Warriors, Thunder in the conference finals. I actually think OKC is going to give Golden State a run for their money, but I definitely don't expect the
I think they'll blow a 3-1 lead. Is my
bet. Yeah, I also have Warriors over Cavs in the finals. I just, like you said, this is arguably one of the best, maybe the best team of all time. On paper, it has to be the best team of all time. I'd be really shocked if Golden State didn't win it this year.
You know what? I'm not shocked. I think Cleveland can do it. I do. I think Isaiah Thomas is the guy. I think that he will come in rested. I think that he will come in and be the Isaiah Thomas that we saw halfway through the season of, his Celtics, and I think he'll come into the playoffs and do really well. I think the Cavs will have an easy route to the finals. I don't think the Celtics are going to challenge him that hard, and I think it's going to be an easy coast to the championship. And with an easy coast to the championship comes rest. And with that rest, in a tougher Western Conference, I don't think Golden State's going to have that rest. I think they're going to have to play 6-7 game series.
We called it tough last year, and they swept all the way to the finals.
The tough just got tougher, Cam. I mean,
it got a lot tougher.
I'm not saying they're not going to. They're obviously not going to sweep this year, but I don't think they'll be going to 7 games.
I think you're
year.
Pushing it
every series,
5, 6, 7 games. I think Golden State's going to have to play every single playoff game. And they're going to run down Curry, and they're going to try to beat up Curry and Thompson. And then the Cavs are going to do the same exact thing with their size and their defense.
We're going to see a lot of brutality this season.
It's going to be absolutely brutal, and I'm so excited for the end of the season. But the season's just beginning.
I'm excited for tonight, baby.
Who do you got? Cavs or Celtics?
Oh, Celtics, man.
Celtics?
Celtics just for tonight.
And I think the Celtics will win as well. Anyways, this is the Triple Double Podcast. Be sure to follow us on all our social media. Please be sure to look up our YouTube channel. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us, email us, everything that you want to hear about the show. We love hearing the good, positive feedback. We love hearing the negative feedback as well. We're trying to be the best Triple Double Podcast that we can be. So please let that happen. Please share with all your friends. And with that being said, this has been the Triple Double Podcast. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.